Paranormal Karen, she's so spooky. Paranormal Karen, funny too. Paranormal Karen, she's so spooky. Oh, and did I mention she's funny too? Yeah, cha-cha-cha.
Hey everybody, welcome to Paranormal Karen. I think we are in March and I have some new dates for you. So if this is out before March 6th and 7th, I will see you in Olympia, Washington and Bellingham, Washington. And if this is May, I will see you in Miami. I'll also see you at Wisecrackers, I believe May 8th and 9th. It's that weekend in the Poconos. You can email me or get on my newsletter. Go to my website and hit subscribe, and this will come right to you. A lot of people asking about dates and stuff. Oh yes, and I believe it's June. I will be in Waco, Texas, which my guest Mela is here, Mela Shea. Doesn't Waco, why does that sound scary, like something's going to happen? Is it because of the whatever happened there?
Oh, in Waco?
That was where they had it was supposed to be a cult, and then they ran them down or something.
Yes.
I don't know the political
it
things.
obviously has a lot of residual energy there.
Yes. And oh, that's right, because the guy was running a cult, and he actually kind of looked like a modern day Jesus, didn't he?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think I remember that. So anyways, we'll see you in, maybe I'll join a cult when I'm in Waco. It'll be terrific. And also, don't forget, leave me 5 stars wherever you listen or something like that. Today's guest, my friend Mela Shea, she is from Pennsylvania, correct?
Yeah, I live in Easton, Pennsylvania.
And she is a comedian and a psychic and many other things. And we have met here at the Jessa Reed, what would we call it?
Jessa Reed, Soberish Podcast Meetup / Witchy Get Together.
Yes, it's in Phoenix. And right now, this is the daytime when we're all here. And actually, I'm going to be taping a few podcasts from here. But it's kind of neat because you started your day with cupping, because there's like all healers here, and we're all just sit around talking, and Courage was biting people. And how did you like your cupping session?
Okay, so cupping is like when you lay on your stomach and you let somebody, in this case it was Lacey, just put little cups on your back. And what it does is it moves the blood around so you can release things a lot faster. Don't quote me on that. I don't do cupping.
I think I'm going to have her on soon anyways. But they're little glass things, and they sort of suck your skin up.
Yes.
In a kind of yucky
she has a cupping
way.
pump.
A cupping pump, yes.
So it was great. I felt really energized afterwards. I mean, it was a little painful, but you just breathe through it, and it really moves a lot of things really rapidly.
Right, and now you have those welts on your back,
yeah,
right?
I'm covered in welts, and like this guy I'm seeing said I look like I got grabbed by an octopus, which I thought was funny.
Oh, that's great. A huge octopus with suction cups that are like 2 inches big.
Yes.
That's great. I'm a huge octopus fan. Now, Mela, let's get to your story, your reason I'm having you on the podcast. So you and I met through a reading, and then you said you do readings. And first, tell the people where they can find you.
So you can find me at standuppsychic.com. So it was a mashup of stand-up comedy and psychic. So STANDUP, then PSYCHIC.com.
Which is very funny because, you know what, I forgot when I saw that. You know, I own Psychic Stand-Up. You own Stand-Up Psychic.
So funny. I did not know that. That's great.
I know, that's funny. So tell me, how, when you were growing up, how did you know you were psychic? What was your journey?
So as a very small kid, we're talking about 3, 4, 5, and I think it resonates too to say that I was born with mild cerebral palsy. Cerebral palsy, if you don't know, is one of the most common birth injuries that you can get, and you get it by being cut off from your oxygen supply for a certain amount of time. But I have a very mild case, and that might have precipitated into me staying in my room a lot and being like, why am I here? What's going on? What is the purpose? Why do I have to deal with this disability at a very young age? And I also think psychic ability runs in my family, and just as a cliff note, I think everyone is psychic. You just have to focus and develop it, and etc. I don't think that there's people that are not psychic, you know.
To step back one, because you said you couldn't leave your room. Now, I see you and you get along fine, and there isn't You know what I mean? Like you're living life.
Well, I didn't walk until I was almost 3. I also have a twin sister who's fraternal, and so there was a big kind of push and pull between us because she used to like hit me while I was not able to go after her.
Oh, okay.
And so I think this also developed me because when I did get up one day, I went after her and like beat her up. And so that kind of just made my drive, like I'm not going to be stopped by anybody or anything. And so how it came in the intuition, I started seeing, this is kind of an awkward segue, but I started seeing full body apparitions of what I assumed were people that had passed away, but they did so in a violent manner. Like there was a lot of like hangings. It was just, I could see them, and they weren't, I never felt afraid, but I felt like they were communicating, like, where am I? What do I do? Where do I go? And so I intuitively knew to tell them to go to the light.
And before we get to that, I want to go back one. So was it that, is it that like maybe your family thought you were sick, so no one was encouraging you to walk, and then your sister just ended up hitting you, and you were like, yeah, screw that? No, or was it really genuinely harder for you?
No, I mean, I was cognitively delayed and walking, I didn't walk till I was almost 3, but it wasn't because I didn't try. And then when I figured out that, and my mom wasn't like oppressive in that way. She actually did a lot of like occupational therapy with me on her own, and she got me physical therapy, etc. And, but I wasn't diagnosed with cerebral palsy till I was almost 3, because this is in the 80s, and a lot of the advancements we have now, we didn't have back then, so they weren't really sure. There was some concern that I had a tumor, but that didn't show up.
And is your sister psychic?
Oh, yeah. I think everybody in my family is. Like I said, I think everybody is, but she definitely is. And then when I told my dad that I was doing this business, his answer was like, oh, I predicted the day and time my best friend died. That was his answer. And I was like, oh, wow.
So everybody came. I was reading this book. I kind of love this book. In fact, I'm trying to get the authors on it. It's called... I think it's Channeling the Orion Council, and it's literally a channeling session. And one thing that they say is it's easier to channel, and I assume be psychic, when you're already, they say ill, because you're already halfway trying to get out of your body, so you're halfway there. That resonates with you?
Yeah, completely, because the other thing is like, I don't want to make this about my father, but I personally think he's a psychopath, and that's just me saying that. He's not diagnosed.
Psychopath, sure.
Yeah, and so he tried to drown me when I was 5. I'm not excusing him, but he definitely had a disconnect. So we were at the lake, and we were on the dock, and I was facing him, and then he just grabbed me by the hips and put me under 3 different times. And I was calm. Like, I'm not saying it wasn't scary, but immediately the angels came and they said, it's okay, you can leave, you can come with us, you can go into the ball of light, you can just come back to this family if you want, you can pick a new family, you can have all these options. Like, they were just giving all these options to me as I was seeing my little life flash. And my response to them was, you mean I don't have to have this man as my father? Like, I can leave? And that's when I totally went limp, because I was ready to go. And this is an absolutely true story. And that's when he came out of it and brought me back up. And then he said, I'll never do that again. It was one of the only times he ever apologized to me. He said, I'm sorry, I'll never do that again. And then he lifted me up off his lap and set me on the dock and left.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I have a million questions now. That's fascinating. Okay, so were the angels like, were you perceiving them, or did you see them? Or was it
I just
the
felt
energy?
them near me, because I was shutting my eyes because it was rapid water.
You're being waterboarded.
Yeah. So I felt them. But in my experience of this near-death experience, it just felt like love. Like, I just felt so loved and cared for. Like, there was no problem in the world. Like, I could die right now and everything was fine. And so, not that I wasn't psychic before that, I think that really ramped up my psychic ability. Because I got to meet them.
Yeah, I think a near-death experience changes someone's vibration way high.
Totally.
You know what? It struck me when you were telling me this is I thought, and maybe this is wrong, so your father, do you think your father was disconnected and trying to, like, it wasn't a hostile thing, like, I don't want to have this daughter anymore. It was like he actually was thinking, because he can't feel, what would this be like? And you were just sort of the tool?
So this is interesting, because that wasn't the first time he did that. So I actually, later, I'm at 34 now, but back when I was about 25, I got his sister on the phone. And I told her the story. And it was very confirming for me, because she said, oh, he did that to us, to the siblings.
Oh.
He would like hold our face under the water in the sink, and I was like, that's psychopathic. You know?
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah, but like our mom never believed us. Like he was the golden child. And I was like, oh, that's not his. I'm not saying she was wrong, but that was not his perception, not the thing that he said to me. He said that his younger brother was the golden child. And I was like, it sounds like you were.
Right. So it also sounds like it wasn't done with rage. It was done with curiosity.
Yeah, it's more like,
Which is
what can I get away with? Like,
Yeah.
no feeling attached to it. Like, he was laughing the whole time.
Oh, God. Oh, that's horrifying.
Yeah.
You know what was weird I also thought this, and this is probably, I wonder if the soul of a psychopath, because this is a very interesting thing. I was listening somewhere to someone saying a sociopath has no karma, because karma is where your soul connects to God and it says, I want to adjust this. So you kind of create your own karma. So if you're a sociopath and you have no connection to God, you have no reason to adjust. And that almost sounds like your dad. But here's the thing that this thought struck me, is you saying to the angels, I don't want him as my dad. I wonder if in a weird way, his least ability of whatever love is his way, he loved you and he was like, oh, no, don't let her go. Like, it was weird that he immediately said, I won't do that again.
So that interestingly makes me think of soul contracts, because I personally think that each soul makes a soul contract. Like, they painstakingly make the soul contract with the council of elders when they come and inhabit whoever body in the womb. Because I personally think that I'm not Mela Shea in this life. I'm the soul that inhabits her body.
Right. Okay.
And same for Karenrontowski, etc. And so, whatever it is in my dad's soul contract and mine, we're written into each other's, right? Because we have a major connection, a father-daughter connection. And so what I see in our connection is that he tries to oppress me and I reject it. Right. Like, that's our dynamic. I never let him oppress me, even though I was living in his house and ostensibly that's what happened. But I was always stepping to him and being like, no. So he likes to say that I've had memories implanted, and my response is always, are you telling me my whole life is a hologram?
Interesting. So basically, and that's such a healthy way to see it, is that he's your teacher in this way.
Yeah. So I think, I think that I've chosen to have cerebral palsy. I think I chose him as my dad. Like, I do. I find a lot of power in viewing it in that way. But I don't want to blame anybody if that's not how they feel. I'm just saying, I think I chose him so that I would know how to stand on my own 2 feet and not take any BS.
Right. So in other words, you came in with cerebral palsy and you chose the most challenging person to make sure you yes.
Yeah, it's not about really overcoming, because cerebral palsy is just part of who I am. But I don't know if anybody in your listening likes psychedelics, but I'm a really big fan of mushrooms. And I got to talk to what's called the narrator, which is like this voice of God. And the narrator told me that cerebral palsy is part of my specific brand in this lifestyle. And I'd never heard that before. I was like, what? Say more about specific brand. And they're like, well, you chose to have cerebral palsy so that you could reach more people. And I was like, oh, that makes sense.
Interesting. So do you think that is reaching more people with your comedy, or standing out in their mind, or,
yeah, I think
inspiring them?
I mean, without trying to sound egotistical, I think that I'm a very unique individual. And I've always been used as this sort of like, look at what Mela can do. You can also do it. And that's okay. There's a lot of discussion about disability being used as what's called inspiration porn. But my personal thing is, like, don't post a video of a kid walking for the first time. Like, if I were born now, that's what they would do with me. And that's really terrible, because that kid has no consent. He's just being used, or she is just being used as a like, oh, look, it's so cute.
Right.
But if you want to use me, grown adult me, as inspiration for your life, then that's great, because it's my choice to be out there.
So, that's funny that sometimes I do feel uncomfortable when I see things like that, but it's also one of those, like, I've always hated when an old saying would be, well, kids in China don't have anything to eat, or kids somewhere else don't have anything. And it's like, gratitude is not about a comparison.
Right.
It's about what you have, like, knowing that you have this going on.
Right. So the thing is, like, everyone is different, like, not to be cliche, but everyone is different. Like, there is no other you living at this time and space right now. So my main thing for people is, like, you can't do what I do because you're not me. You do what you do.
Right. I did a meditation once, and someone in my meditation told me that jealousy is when you're trying to do someone else's work.
Exactly.
Right. So, okay. So there's have you had any other near-death experiences?
No, not to that level. Like, one time, Well, I think this is an interesting story because I think there's a lot of survivors of sexual violence out there. One time there was an attempted date rape. However, and I'm not blaming anybody, and I'm not saying this works every time, but I didn't break eye contact with the guy as he got on top of me, and I was just literally thinking, I'm going to rip your balls off. So I don't know if he got that message psychically or that I was just so stone calm. He just got up and left. Like, he literally got off me and left.
Well,
no
that
words.
may have been about fear. Like,
Yeah.
he wanted to instill fear in you, so
Yeah.
I had a boss when I was doing an internship, and she told that story about, she went on a date with this guy, and she used to sleep around a bit, and then the guy came and picked her up with his friends, and they drove her off somewhere, and they were like, this is going to happen. And she took off all her clothes and goes, all right, let's get it over with, I hate it here. And no one could perform.
Yeah, because fear is the big motivator for the people
Yeah.
that are attracted to that kind of sexual violence.
Right. Okay, so you're a little kid and you're seeing these sort of horrifying full body apparitions.
Yeah, but I didn't feel afraid. It was very interesting.
Yeah. Now, did you feel they were afraid?
No, they were looking for answers. I mean, some of them were upset about dying the way they died. I mean, why wouldn't you if
Right.
you were like run over by a car or if you were like stabbed to death, Sorry if you have sensitive listeners. I'm just saying.
No, we
that
don't.
They
And I don't think
came-
they've been stabbed to death. Or
Yeah, I
by
don't
a
know.
car.
They came and they were like, I'm lost, So what I think happens when you pass away, in my personal point of view, is that the angels come, like they did for me, and they come to escort you to the big ball of light. And then what happens is you have a party to commemorate your life and your times, and you have a party with everybody you know that has passed away, and your ancestors, etc., and your guides, you get to meet them, and angels, etc. And then you have what's called a life review, where you get to review your life. It's exactly what it's called. And then you get to see things from the God perspective, which is I'm excited for that. Not that I want to die, but, because it's very illuminating. And then you get to just be in school if you want. Like, you get to take classes, like elective college classes that you get to do. You get to chill out in the universe or heaven, whatever you want to call it. Or you get to, pick another human life, and there's other options. Like, if you are someone who has ascended into greatness, like Oprah, for example, she will have the option of being what's called an ascended master when she passes. But she doesn't have to. She can come back here if she wants. So, all choices, all up to you. You're not given an assignment. That sometimes religions, I just don't believe that you're given an assignment.
Right. And also, when you say Oprah, obviously, of course, I know we're not saying Oprah because she's famous, but do you have a vibe about her that you feel like, oh, she did it? That is
That's the
separate
thing.
from her
When
TV.
So exactly. What I'm saying when I bring up Oprah is that she has ascended fully to her higher self. So every one of us has what's called a higher self that exists in the universal plane. And we are working with this higher self to ascend to the higher self, to I could say like Adam Levine of Maroon 5, anybody who is well known, Richard Branson, you know what I mean? Any example. Mother Teresa, when they pass, they've ascended to their higher self, because that's basically the end game for everybody. We come to the earth plane, we're here to learn lessons, and we're here to ascend to our higher self. And you don't have to do any of that. You can turn up the dial to hard level and, make things hard for yourself. And I'm not saying bad things don't happen. I'm just saying you always have a choice. And I'm not trying to say slavery is a choice. Like, I just want to throw that out there. Like, things are sometimes out of your control. I'm just saying you don't have to make things harder for yourself.
Right. And I always wonder with something like slavery, if that is a person that actually wanted to conquer 10 lifetimes in one. You know what I mean? Like, took on all the worst, horrible things in one. And hopefully their next life gets to be the easier one.
Yeah.
Because we don't learn anything if we have the easy life.
Exactly.
I remember my teacher saying to me once, Michael Jackson is going to have a very hard time in his next life because he might be born expecting everyone to do everything for him. And what if he's born very poor? And they're like, no one's doing anything for you. No one's going to give you anything.
So it's interesting that you bring up Michael Jackson, because I don't think he's going to be given the option to be an ascended master, because he has a lot of work to do.
Oh, hold on one second. Let's take a break and come right back for that.
Great.
I like that. I love that. We all live busy lives. In fact, when I'm not podcasting, ghost hunting, performing stand-up comedy, or reading tarot for my clients, I'm trying to catch my breath and de-stress. All that on the go can really play havoc with your sleep and impact your health. That's why I'm so crazy about the relaxing benefits of CBD oil. But I care about what I put into my body, so I only look for the best. And that's how I found Zion Medicinals. The company was founded by Brian Caruso, who sought a natural pharmacy-grade solution for his wife's pain and insomnia. Zion Medicinals sources high-quality, healthcare-grade, premium hemp oil direct from an organic farm in Colorado, so you consistently get the best product every single time. The oils are full spectrum too, not CBD isolate, which means that every bottle contains all of the plant's naturally occurring compounds, including cannabinoids, flavonoids, and oils for a superior product. Every bottle is third-party tested to ensure it's pure and potent too. To get your Zen with Zion, check them out online at zionmedicinals.com. Tell them I sent you and use coupon code Karen20 for 20% off your first order. That's capital K, small AREN 20. Tell them Karen sent you. You were saying you think Michael Jackson
So I don't think he's going to be given the option of ascended master. And again, this is somebody that's ascended to their highest self because he has a lot of work to do, meaning that he has a relationship to his race that's like wonky, and I'm not black, and then he has a very questionable relationship with children.
Yeah.
And I know he has a lot of ardent fans, so you guys know what I'm talking about. But so he has a lot of personal issues, we'll say, that he still needs to work on. And I'm not saying Oprah is perfect. I'm just saying if you take responsibility for your side of the street and you grow and you learn, then you get the opportunity.
Right. We don't know what she's doing in her house, but it mostly looks like, you know what she looks like to me? And it's not what she says or what she does, but how I want to go out is that I helped more than I hurt. That's the biggest, and obviously we don't try to hurt people or we don't want to do that. But I think just trying to do better by the world. It's funny that you mentioned money because money is such a worry and such a thing. But I really think, I will never be one of those people that's that rich because I'm giving to this person or I'm giving to that, which I would rather, wouldn't you rather?
Well,
have
you're
that be
very
your legacy?
giving. Yeah, but also, I think Jessa said this, so I don't want to take credit for it. I thought it was great. I was listening to her Soberish podcast. And the relationship, money is energy, is just like everything else. Energy
Right.
can't be created or destroyed. And so the guides are really like, there's like candy. Do you want more candy? You can have more candy.
Oh, that was me.
Were
on
you
her
guys talking
podcast.
about this?
Yeah,
You
that
said
was
this.
what they told me. Yeah,
I loved when you were talking about that.
Yeah, you don't
so
need
you know about
candy.
money. The thing with you is that it's not like you withhold money from yourself, but you are very much like a philanthropic soul. Like you want other people to be happy. And so so one little tweak for you is that you actually think that in order to give, you have to be approachable.
Oh, go ahead. Can you say more about that?
Yeah, it's a major coming through. Like you just think in order to give, you have to be approachable. You have to be like the every woman.
Oh, interesting.
Because if you had a lot of money, people wouldn't take you seriously. Like you have this, what's coming to me is that you have this image of yourself. If you had a lot of money, you'd be like Cruella de Vil. People would think of you as Cruella de Vil.
It could be, but you know what? I think I have actually a number in my mind. And if I would say I would like that number in the bank and everything else I would give away. Like if I ever really became successful, they'd be like, what story on the news? Why didn't Karen Rontowski pay any taxes? Because she gave away 3/4 of her income. I mean, that would be great. And we all say that now. I know things change, but I hope that's me if I ever get rich.
Well, yeah, but that's fine. But you have to get rich in order to be able to do that. So you have to like accept the energy vibration. Like you have to, and it's not like you have to do a major tweak. It's just that allow the money to be in your account.
That's and I'm going to say something right now because that was sort of a vibe that you picked up as a reading, and I'm going to tell you that it's right on, especially now, because now I feel like I am on that cusp of being in that place of either a lot of success or money coming to me.
You are.
And it is interesting how it really is, if you're really looking inside yourself, nothing is just give it to me. You know what I mean? You have to go wire the blocks that I've had up to this age that now all of a sudden it's different.
Yes, exactly. You're so right. So the thing is like, whatever it is in this life, I feel like in your soul contract that you wanted to be an other, but I say that as a compliment. Like, you didn't want to fit in any kind of mold. And so that's why your life has happened the way it's happened. Like, for a comedian, for example, you don't fit in the age bracket, blah, you're too old, blah, blah, blah.
Everything's wrong.
So you don't fit. But you chose that.
Right.
So your whole thing is to not go the traditional route. Like, that's the message from your guides, is to do your own thing and do whatever you want. And keep not cliche like believing in yourself, because you already do, but like just don't do anything conventionally.
Right. I agree. Yeah, I totally. In fact, one of the things, the stories that I like I used to know Larry the Cable Guy. Actually, I think I still know him. I haven't seen him in a while. But they, like blue collar comedy or not, they went the back door. That Hollywood didn't like any of them, and they found their way around it. And that's a great story.
Yeah.
And that's what I think for entertainment people, that's what the internet and the podcasts are. But yes, I definitely like being an original when I can, if there's such a thing.
Well, your energy is totally original. I mean, we're all original snowflakes, and I mean that in the general sense, not in like the political sense.
Right.
But there really is nobody else like you. Anybody who's listening to this, like, you're the only you. Like, you're it.
Right,
so
everybody.
What I like to tell people is, like, don't look behind yourself for the person they're talking to, because it's you, you know.
Speaking of you, let's get back to you.
Okay, great.
All right, so you are seeing these full body apparitions, and when did you also, did you understand that you were psychic, or was that just happening and then someone pointed out that that has a label?
Well, I kind of knew, but I kind of hid it because I thought, no, everyone's going to think I'm crazy, And then when I was 16 years old, I was staying at my friend Rebecca's house, and I was staying on the couch, sleeping on the couch, because I liked to sleep downstairs with her dogs. They were so sweet. And then in the middle of the night, the dogs kind of alerted, and I didn't feel like there was anybody in the house, but I felt a presence. Like nobody living in the house. Everybody else was asleep. Does it make sense? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I kind of covered myself with a blanket, and then I'm like, I don't want to look, I can't look. But then I felt somebody press down on my neck, and I'm okay, But I felt this woman saying that she had been killed in the house, and that she wanted her story to be known, and that she was strangled. And it was just so real.
Wow.
And the whole time the dogs were like, bark, 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 get out of here, because animals can see ghosts. And so this must have gone on. And also, the whole room got chilly. So that's another indication that you're being visited. And this went on for like maybe half an hour, and then and the lights flickered. Everything that you've ever seen on any paranormal show happened.
It's like a movie all at once.
So we actually did look up this lady, and there was a death, but it was ambiguous. So I think she just came to set the record straight that she'd actually been murdered and it wasn't an accidental death.
Now, this is Pennsylvania, right?
This was in New Jersey, Milford, New Jersey, in a really old house, like a farmhouse with a silo. So it was built in like the 1800s. You can,
so the West Coast has the Wild West, but that East Coast has some, it's almost like, I had on this wonderful group called Native Paranormal Investigators, and they talk about how, because they're Native American, they can feel the layers of the land. They sort of know back through time. But I think as Americans, that East Coast is haunted by our own people. Like, yes. It's just crazy. Pennsylvania especially.
Well, yeah, because you have the colonies. So you have the original architecture of the 13 states. And then as you go west, you have the newer, like Oregon didn't even become a state until I think 1851 or 52.
I know, and Oregon has that horrible, like I've done so many podcasts on their Shanghai tunnels.
Yes.
And the horribleness there. So they created their own. That's such a weird, I know it's like, I don't like the true crime. A lot of people like the true crime, but I guess what I'm talking about now is just as bad. But there is this weird, like, do we know horrible people? That's what I feel like. Like, if we lived in Oregon, would we have found out our neighbor that we always liked was Shanghaiing people? Or it's such an odd thing for me to think how cruel people can be.
Yeah, like in general, like living as now, cruel people, you saying? Or just
anytime, like when I hope that I don't know anyone that's.
Oh, you definitely do. Everybody does,
right?
I mean, it doesn't bother me. I just, I always tell people follow your gut instinct because, evil does lurk. Like, I don't want to be an extremist or a scare tactic type of person, but I like to do this analogy. There's a show called I Survived. I love that show for this simple reason. It always, without fail, has the person who survived saying, I got an intuition not to go there, not to talk to that person, not to do that thing.
And I went against it.
Yes. And so this is what I say. If you don't listen to anything else, listen to your gut instinct on all things. Because like I say, we're the only animals on this planet that disregard it. Antelopes are not wondering if that tiger or that lion is hungry.
Right.
They're running away.
You know, a couple of episodes back, I think I did a podcast on synchronicities. And there are literally artificial synchronicities where you think you're being led down one way, and it's actually like, just listen to your gut. Don't go there. You know what I mean? If your gut says that. Well, it's also interesting to me. I mean, it is all the same thing because we were talking positive. It is all the same thing about a contract. But it's funny that you mentioned that show. I haven't seen that show, but there's a really odd trend in TV right now. And it kind of bothers me where like people are like, how can you like horror movies? You know why I like horror movies? Not as much as I used to, but because you're rooting for someone. Like in that show, I Survive, you're rooting for the person. There's an awful lot of TV shows now, just all bad people.
Yeah.
Like everyone is watching Succession. I couldn't get past the first couple. I may try it again, but it's just all bad people. I don't want to watch all bad people.
I love psychological thrillers for that reason.
Right, because you want to
overcome.
Right, overcome. That's a good thing. So, so that was in New Jersey. So now, so you're actually a medium.
Yeah. So I can connect with people that have passed away, but I also have to say that it's their choice, just like anybody who's living. If they don't want to talk, they don't have to talk. I have to also say that it's best to wait until at least 3 months after they pass away because, like I said, they have the party and the school and everything, so they might not be available. They've got stuff to do.
I think there's my friend took quite a few medium classes, and they also say for the person a year, like because they might hear something wrong. Or I had a friend that I heard a guy wrote a wonderful book on negative near-death experiences. He had a negative one, and he changed his whole life. But he was an atheist, which was not why he had the negative experience. It was more how he lived his life, not did he believe in God or not believe in God. And my friend was worried about her dad, and I said, because he was an atheist, and I said, just tell him, you know, in this story, the guy, he was actually sort of being summoned by, it was very interesting. He was talking about how this place he went was very dark, and he was actually being kind of guided by these awful things that wouldn't tell him what's going on and kept going, come on. In his brain, he was thinking, I need to join them or this isn't going to go well, which is really how people get in negative cycles in life. I'm not going to stand up to this. I want to get in it. But he had said at one point, he just started to pray. And he said, I didn't even know how to pray. I think I said the Pledge of Allegiance. And as he did, he saw this white light open up and he started to go towards the white light. And then he started to think, oh, this is God. I don't deserve this. And as he was saying that, the light went back away. And then he was like, no, 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 no. And he started praying again, like God was saying, you have to love yourself to get here. And I always think of that. And she felt very bad because her father passed away before she could say that, or before she felt she could say that to him. And then I thought, well, I didn't mean to scare you. And so it was so close to his death that she was very open to believing things or grabbing onto that and going, oh no, my dad needed that information. I didn't give it to him. So I wonder always if people aren't ready to hear right away either when someone has passed.
Yeah, it's true, but it's also that I want, thank you for sharing that, by the way, that was very profound. Okay. I want people to know that even when somebody passes away, they're not gone from your energy field, they're just beyond the veil. Like literally there's a veil that exists between this plane and the universal plane. And I know you can't come back to that body that you left, but you can make visits. Like people make visits, and if you are a spirit returning, you can do things like push like something less than a pound off the table. That you can tap people on the shoulder. So if you've had any of this kind of thing happen, that's your loved one visiting you.
Have you ever I had a friend that I think ascended, and her name was Cindy Burns, actually. And there's she was just that wonderful. And it was very, in fact, she is somebody.
She has a lot of angelic energy.
Oh my God. And she felt like, this is how strong her will was. In fact, she was a Leo with Leo rising. And she once had her chart read and the woman said, I don't know how you live with yourself. And she she called me and told me when she had this experience, which was a near-death experience, and her father came for her and said, it's time to go. And she said no. And he said and they really argued, and she said no, and he finally walked away. Well, everything after that was pretty much just horrible. Her body was done. It was almost like at points she wasn't making sense because cancer was eating her brain. And I thought she passed on the door when she should have taken it. So that's how strong her will was. But a lot of people always thought, and this is where I may be wrong. A lot of people are always like, yeah, Cindy's with me and Cindy's with me. And I always feel like she's with me, but I also feel like she really has ascended and she may be even more of the big light now, that she's not exactly hanging with us. Is that, you know what I mean? Like, she's like, everybody's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it both ways because the thing is, Cindy was very connected to the earth plane. And, yes, to the story that you just said about her arguing with her dad, just so everybody knows, there are times when you can leave. Like, if I wanted to leave when I was 5, I could have left. That is up to me, not my father. And so there's like 5 to 7 doorways in your life.
That's what I've always felt like. Yeah. And when you hit that last one?
Yeah, you have to take it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I mean, I'm not, like, I don't want to say she should have taken it, but it would have been a lot easier.
No, if you saw how she was about 50 pounds,
right,
and she just kept living and living and living, and then one night she got up and she said to her husband, I understand it now. And it fully conscious, fully making sense, where she hadn't, like, it was beyond her. It was so far beyond. And that day she passed. She passed on my birthday.
Wow. So it was in August.
Yeah, August 17th.
Yeah.
But I always wondered, I always feel like she might be bigger places.
So interestingly, even though I said you can be an ascended master, if you ascend to your higher self, you can also be a guide. While you're waiting for people to show up, like she may be waiting for other people in her family to pass so she can talk to them, whatever. There's all choices that you can have. But all I'm saying is that Cindy's energy is very angelic.
Yeah. So
I wouldn't be surprised if she had already a lifetime in the angel realm, which is also possible, before she came back to Earth. Because her stubbornness was something she wrote into her soul contract to kind of like show that she was here. Like, she kept trying to attach herself to the earth plane, but I don't think she's from the planet Earth. And I think she spent some time in the angelic realm, like being an actual angel. And that's another thing that people can do. You can switch dimensions and everything like that. I mean, we can get into the nitty gritty. I'm just saying, Cindy's energy pattern is not that of a person that spends their time exclusively on the earth plane.
That makes perfect sense. Okay, so when we come back, I want to ask you about one more person, since you're sort of in that zone. Is that okay?
Yeah. That's
okay. Folks, we'll be right back. Psychic medium and buddy of mine, Terry Huberman, is with me today. Terry, you've given me so many great readings and healings, and now you've got everything together in one package. Tell me about that.
I sure do. So this package has energy healings, readings, and coaching.
Coaching, that's the best. And people, they buy the package. You give them coaching once a week?
Yeah, so we meet online once a week, and in between, there's support as well.
And who would this be for?
This is really for folks who are in indecision, needing to get into their intuition because they're blocked or stuck. They need to move forward. And so we explore what the root causes of the problems are.
And helps them get out of their own way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Terrific. And what can they expect from this?
Sure. So moving from anxiousness to confidence, accessing their freedom, joy, and security, and really being in alignment with themselves so they have that clear direction, so they know, aha, this is what I need to do next to reach my goals.
So now there's something that's free so people can talk to you and see if this is for them.
Yeah, absolutely. On my website, terryhuberman.com, there is a a page where you can click, and it's the intuitive coaching package. And there is a button there that says schedule a free call. So you go ahead, schedule it. We'll get on a call and you can learn more about this program, and we'll see if this is a good fit for you or not.
See if there's chemistry.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It's an odd date.
TerryHuberman.com, TerrieHuberman. I highly recommend it, folks. Okay, so we're back, and you're just blowing my mind with these readings. So I want to continue just a little bit. So this is weird because these two people, I told you this other person's name off because I don't know how comfortable they'd be with it. Probably everyone knows because it was a big Hollywood passing away. But it's what's odd is these two women were the same size with the same color hair and the same haircut. They were very physically alike. But this other friend of mine, she had a tumor on her chest that was literally bigger than her. And again, it was like a cancer, but it was not cancer. It was a very complicated thing, and it kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I always felt like she wouldn't let go of certain things. She was really holding on, and I don't know at that point that, there's a certain point where I think people can turn around their own diseases and stuff like that.
Yes.
And I think that there's a certain point where you can't. I couldn't figure out how this was going to get better. But she also, we thought, had an attachment of a hungry ghost.
Yes.
And it was part of her culture. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah. Oh, this is such a great topic because, okay, again, this is my personal point of view. I have to say that on the top of everything because I think I get into like medical stuff that I'm not a medical doctor. I'm just saying my personal belief is that things like Crohn's disease, lupus, MS even can be created by a person that's suffering and not releasing. So everybody has an energy field. We all have an aura. And if you are not releasing, because remember, energy cannot be created or destroyed. It exists. It is as is. So if you go around your life taking on too much, or if you try to fix people's lives for them, and I'm not saying don't be a nice person. I'm just saying don't let people put their garbage bags in your energy field and let them sit there, because what happens in a dump? Things smell, they start to rot, etc. So you are literally killing yourself if you're doing this. And so your friend that we're not naming,
which probably everyone knows anyways.
Yeah,
I just want to be
we'll just call her Alice so that I say her name and don't mess it up. So Alice was the prime example of not releasing other people's energy. And so the way it manifested for her was this tumor that you spoke about. And it grew and grew and grew. And she kept not releasing it, but accepting it. Accepting it, accepting it, accepting it. And all she really needed to do was flip it into release.
And there's an interesting thing about that, because this is where, and this is what I think makes good tarot. Exactly what you're saying, I'm going to put into different words that means the same thing, which was she was very, very controlling. Yeah. So in trying to be controlling, she was holding on to other people's stuff, trying to get them to change it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, the thing is that she meant well.
Yes, absolutely. She was brilliant.
Yeah,
so.
She's very smart. She's extremely intelligent. However, her flaw, if I can say, was that she thought she knew better than everybody else.
Yeah.
And so the thing is that you cannot save anyone. I can explain, I can sit here, if I had the skill, we don't have the skill, but if I could sit here and just say, oh, Karen, X, Y, and Z is going to happen at this time and this day, and this will happen and you'll meet whoever. And I could give you a blueprint of your life. It's still not up to me whether you do that or not. It's up to you.
Right.
So that was her flaw, in that she said, if I just give them the information and they do exactly as I say, everything will be fine. Mm-hmm. And so it's a lot of the energy of like the World According to Alice book, which everyone has to agree to, which, she meant well. I have to say, there's no like malice in her energy field. She wanted to help.
Yes.
But what she was missing is that you cannot save anyone. Like I like to say, like, you have full autonomy at all times. You can go to the top of the roof and jump off if you want at any point. I'm not encouraging that. I don't think you should ever do that. I'm just saying, this is why I say you always have a choice. And so her issue was that she tried to take choices away from people So to make them feel like they were safe. And that's not what she was doing. She was just aggravating them.
Wow, that was just a brilliant way you said that. Trying to take choices away from people.
Yeah.
Oh, you're going to get credit on the card of the day when I put that one up.
Thank you.
Trying to take choices away from people, which is literally a better definition of being controlling.
Yeah. So if you do that and you start eating the choices, you become like in Harry Potter, like a Death Eater.
Wow. And then also, this is something that I think a thought form or something that can become something. We were literally, like I could see that in her, we were literally at one trying to remove something from her, which may be what you said, like a Death Eater. We were trying to put it in an object because she had gone to a shaman, almost didn't get along because he was basically saying exactly what it was and she wasn't having it. And the consensus sort of came that there is a hungry ghost and it needed to be removed. And of course, that's how you make a haunted object.
Right.
But I don't think people realize the power of a thought form.
Okay.
Yeah,
this is great. I forgot about the hungry ghost thing. So the thing is, and again, take this with a grain of salt. The thing is, you can have, and I don't like positive, negative. I don't like this whole positive vibes only thing.
No, it's all
That's not
process.
what I'm saying. I'm just saying, if you are constricting with yourself, what that does is it invites low energy beings, low vibrational beings, like hungry ghosts, to attach to your energy field and feed off of you. Because they don't have their own light. And so that is a concern. And so I'm not trying to alarm everybody, but I'm just saying there's things you can do, like surround yourself with violet light, surround yourself with the white light, and just ask for your guides to release and your angels to release what you picked up that day. And it literally will take you 30 seconds and will change your life.
I actually, I'm opening for Jessa tomorrow night, and you may hear my story of how, mine was more of we tried witchcraft and something got attached to me, and it's very funny, but it was almost like, it's one of those things where it was a scary experience, but I guess it was my learning that you need to know when to back off, because paranormal world, I see these guys, Ryan and I were laughing on a podcast about these guys that I'm a demon hunter, I'm going in, and we're both like,
demons are real.
You can have that. You take that title and do whatever you want. I want nothing to do with it.
So here's the thing I want your listeners to know. They may have heard this, but demons are real, and they can lay hands on you and push you. Not just like your friends that visit can tap you. They can push you downstairs and stuff like that. It's not something to be messed with. So if you're into going and paranormal hunting, I'm sure that there's people that are way well versed than me, but you want to be protected up around. You want to be shielded. I don't recommend people do this in their regular life because I don't want them to miss opportunities. I'm just saying if you're intentionally going into a place that's haunted, protect yourself, please.
Yeah, we've done quite a few shows on protection in mind, but we should probably do another because also I've only been in one experience where I felt like it was demonic, and I will help people with this. I've never felt like that before, and this is a very strange description, but every cell of my body was on high alert.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was like a physical, like I've never felt like this before. And it's even, they are ancient beings.
Yes.
That, and you don't have to go through life being afraid that there's a demon around every corner, because I've been doing this for 20 years and I've been in one situation. But you will know. I don't think it's anything quiet, but and if you are a paranormal investigator, go back and listen to my episodes with Thomas Durant, the demonologist, and the house cleansing one, because it is not a joke.
No, not a joke. You definitely want to take that very seriously, because another thing that Karen was talking about is that things can attach to you. And this could be just because you have a similar energy vibe, you have inviting energy, they like your energy, anything. They don't need a reason to attach. They just need something or someone to attach, an opening. So, and invitations are very easy to give. It's not like the vampire who shows up and says, I need an invitation, So you have to get yourself scanned for attachments when you leave this place. And you can do this with your friend. It's very easy to do. Just have them visualize your body and see if they see anything attached there. And then you can get some white candles, and you can get sage, Palo Santo, anything. I just recommend always having those tools with you.
Right.
You know, like a chef is not going to go into a kitchen without the knives.
Yeah, I'm a big Palo Santo fan and a big lavender, or like I was telling you earlier, because I do tarot in my apartment, it has a funky energy and it has that light that can attract a lot. So I'm always using dragon's blood resin.
Yes.
And I open up the whole place, and I actually say, I go into each room and I say, I ask my guides and angels to help me lock down this room 100%. If you are not of the light or of the guides, you are to leave now. And I go through each room one at a time. Doesn't take long, and that I do quite often.
Yeah, that's great. That's great advice. Everybody who listens, just take that advice from Karen. That's essentially what you need to do, because I'm all about simplicity. I'm not about making things difficult. And I want everybody to know that you have the power. Like, you are in human form in this life, but you are a soul. And so you have access to the ancient energy and to the ancient wisdom at any point. And if you feel like you need some help, you just go outside and put your feet in the ground, or you run your hands underwater. There's very simple things you can do to ground yourself. And one thing I like to do is sit quietly and just like describe a picture to myself. You know, because that brings you into the present moment, and you're in your body, and you're not like in the astral plane. That's something I really recommend people do if they're readers, if they have a stressful job. Always be grounding yourself.
Yeah, you know what else is a good one? Again, from this book that I very much like about the Orion Council, is to just on a count of inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 8. I picture a vacuum. My friend April taught me this. In each chakra, sucks out the negative in each chakra, and then you put light in.
Yeah, that's great. That's like square breathing. They also, another way you can do it, Navy SEALs do this, is they inhale for 4, exhale for 4, inhale for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4. You know, it's like just around in a square. And the other thing is, like, if you hold your nostril shut, and then you breathe in and out just through the other nostril, then you switch, hold your other nostril shut, and you do the same thing. That calms your nervous system down to show that everything's fine.
Yeah, you know, I did a short meditation on that. That's actually one of my favorites, especially if I'm having a panic attack.
Yes.
That is that's a really good reminder. And I'm with you. It's simple. Like, I love crystals, but I get very nervous about something I have to have with me all the time. And, you know, except for everybody knows, my favorite podcast was about, black, shungite, which I like because it knocks out the 5G.
Yes, and there's also black tourmaline is great for repelling negative energy.
Yeah. And, but all right. So tell people, so how long have you been doing, do you do tarot readings? Do you just do psychic readings, or do you do just what comes with you at the time?
I love getting tarot, but yeah, the third one, I just channel what comes to me at the time, and I'm happy to do face-to-face, but most of my work is over the phone. I can do Skype, whatever you need. Like, I literally just look at myself as a vessel to receive information for you, for your highest good at this moment in time. And, you can ask me questions, or you can just ask me to channel and tell, and, you know, you can jump in at any time. I'm very, very informal with my readings. People have said that I'm very inviting and that I encourage them to go for their goals. You know, I love my reviews. A lot of my reviews are saying that I sound like, you know, a good friend that's just encouraging you. But I give it to you straight. I want you to know, like, if I think something's not working, you need to make a big change, I will also tell you that.
Right. And, you know, I like that because I'm not an in-your-face reader either. And I think it's about encouragement. And the cards are showing you the potential that you have to make things better or to change things.
Well, yeah, because the thing is, like, I perceive energy as a grid. And so if you think about it this way, each choice that you make throughout the day, we make hundreds of, sometimes 300 choices in one day. What to eat, what to wear, da-da-da. You know, so each thing can open up a different, what's called a different dimension, a different lane, a different timeline that you then go on. So I think my whole point of view as a reader is to focus you in on that desired timeline, that divine timeline that you want, and to help you navigate it.
Right. Excellent. You know, this is a weird, and I don't want to, I know sometimes when people don't get readings, they get nervous, or they'll call nervous, or so I don't want to scare anyone with this, but it seems like, in this day and age, a lot of people are waking up, and it seems like, and I'm just going to say this nicely, like the fringes are coming out, and people that might be schizophrenic or people that really need help. Do you ever have that?
I've had a couple of experiences. I mean, this one lady, I won't say her name, she was definitely attached to this man she shouldn't have been attached to. And I kept lovingly saying, you know, this is not the relationship for you. This is a very abusive relationship, and I really recommend you call the domestic violence hotline, etc. But she didn't like that information, and so she ended up starting to like repeatedly call me and yell at me in my voicemail, which I just lovingly released. I ended up blocking her. But I'm just saying, most of my experience is good. Like, I actually am having somewhat of the opposite experience, which is when I started 10 years ago, there were a lot of people that were very much like lost and looking for a lot of direction. And now I have a lot of clients that are like, this is what I want to do. How do I do this? Like, let me bounce this off of you. So, which direction should I take? So I'm loving this new breed of client that is just like ready to make change in the world.
Yeah, I think so too. And this is a weird thing, but going back when we were talking about the hungry ghost and stuff, is people need to realize that good boundaries create good emotional and psychic boundaries. Yeah. Like I tend to get run over sometimes because also I do a lot of, people are like, can you just pull a card? Can you just, and I try to, by the time Thursday comes, I usually read Monday through Thursday, and I do about 4 or 5 readings a day. By the time Thursday night comes, I'm done. My brain has got to rest. And sometimes I get too into saying, okay, or just one card or something like that. And I think that's when my own energy gets in trouble. Yeah.
So interestingly, like, I'm totally acknowledging that and I'm very appreciative because Karen actually did this for me when I did a reading with her. She's like, I love it. I love talking to you. Listen to me. And I felt like, and I'm not insulting you because I loved it. I felt so great. I felt so acknowledged. I felt like you were very giving freely. But I felt like I was placing the boundary for you. I was like, okay, well, you may have been, because it's your time, it's your money. The thing that I.
You mean because we were going long, or I was a little long.
No,
yes,
I loved
do that
it. The thing is that you have to understand what you're receiving, because I was also giving Karen energy, so there was an exchange between us. But if you're reading with someone who is just taking, which there will be people, and they're not doing it intentionally. There are also people that do it intentionally. But I'm just saying you have to be mindful of the energy that you're in, and this can help you decide whether you're going to go over or whether you're going to pull that card. Because it's always a case by case basis. People that have very rigid boundaries don't expand their business because they're putting a line in the sand. So you have to have some malleability there, but I'm not saying, like Karen said, I'm not suggesting you get run over, because it depends on the person. Like, I've become friends, like I became friends with Karen, with people that I've done readings for, and there's many people that I'm just like, okay, well, this is a strictly business relationship and I received money and I give you the reading. But, you have to take that on a case-by-case basis for yourself. And if you're feeling run down, what I like to suggest people say is if they need to cancel a reading, just say, like, I'm just emotionally and energetically taxed right now, and you won't be able to get
your best reading.
The best reading from me at this moment in time. So don't be afraid to cancel if you're not feeling up to it, because you want to be able to have the best space for the client.
Right. And another thing, too, which is, I think actually the universe has sort of forced me to stop going over by the way my appointments come up. But also sometimes, sometimes you're like, okay, it'll be right up to the last minute and I'll be, all right, this is why we were supposed to be here. This was what the reading was supposed to be about. And you'll hit a few minutes. But I do know exactly what you mean. And you can feel it right away in a certain client when immediately drowsy. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, this is immediately, and I put that barrier up and it gets better. But sometimes it even happens before a person calls.
Right.
Because I'm rarely tired and I work myself pretty hard. But and that is like even my own, obviously, my own psychological boundaries are not the best.
Right.
So.
Well, no, I mean, there's a lot of things you can take into consideration. It could be the person's nervousness that's pulling at you. You could be receiving information for them that their guides are just so anxious to say, they're just ready because they know that you're going to talk to them, So again, it's not always intentional. Most people don't even know they're doing it. I'm just saying that you have to assess your own energy. I'm always a big fan because, of course, contact me. I love communication. But I will also tell you that I don't think I'm the reader for you if I don't think that I am.
Right.
And you will know this within the first 5 minutes of speaking to me. And, of course, if you've already paid, then I refund you. Like, that's how I work. We figure out if we jive within the first 5 minutes, and if it's not, then we just go our separate ways. You know, I'm very big on the malleability of that. And so I think there was something else I was going to say about that, but I forgot.
Yeah. Well, you know what else is interesting? And I think some of my listeners may be on this vibe too, which is like, I'm sort of a tarot historian. Like and I came from a very technical point of view where I thought if I learn what all these cards mean and learn the puzzle of putting them together, not realizing how much that was going to boost my intuition. In fact, in the class I'm getting ready to teach online, we start technical and move into more, not memorization, but we start a little technical in symbolism and move into interpretation. But I feel like, especially just lately, everything has moved into a different space. And even I was not a person that, felt crystals or was that in tune with it. And all of a sudden now, I think everybody jumped a level, and now it's very intense.
Oh, yeah. So this is great. I love this interview because we are ascending to 5D energy very rapidly. And I've been feeling like I've been getting different information, like the source is different now. It's very amazing because I just felt like there's a new team on board. Like the other people are still there, but there's like a higher level team that we're being able to access now.
Some sort of vibration, yeah. And actually, if anybody at home is feeling that, contact me and tell me your story, because I think that would make a great reading when I do it with my sister. Yeah. Mela Shea, how fun was this? Yay.
Oh, it was great. I loved it. It was so easy to talk to you, and
you
your energy
too.
very open.
You are endlessly. And why is Courage shaking? Okay, Courage, I'm going to hug you in a minute. Tell everybody where they can find you.
So you can find me at standuppsychic.com. You can also find me on Twitter at Mela Shea. That's MELA Shea, like shea butter, SHEA. You can find me on Instagram at Mela Shea 1, the number. And you can find me on YouTube, youtube.com/funnymela.
There you go. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, call her for a reading. She's fantastic. And folks, thanks for listening. Thanks to Mike at Uno Rising Media for doing all the fancy footwork behind. Sign up for my email list. I'm going to start pushing that and try and get the dates out, because a lot of you email me and say, are you coming to my city? Are you coming to... So go to my website, karenrontowski.com or paranormal.com, paranormalkaren.com, and hit that subscribe button. And I promise not a lot of emails. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week.